Hey, what's up guys, and welcome back to the channel. With Ahsoka meeting up yet again with Anakin, it will be exciting to see the two of them catch up in a way that they never were able to, and get the closure that they both need. The last time Ahsoka saw her master, she was looking at only a sliver of his face behind the mask of Vader. To Ahsoka, Anakin had been dead a long time, and she never got to reconcile with him the way that Luke does in Return of the Jedi. However, one thing that many have talked about and speculated on in the past is why wasn't Ahsoka able to turn Vader back to the light? And why could she have never saved him in the first place? Of all people, surely his Padawan, one of his best friends, should have been able to bring him back slightly, to knock the Anakin back into Vader, and remind him of who he used to be in a way that wouldn't cause him to shut down, something that Obi-Wan could never do. But unfortunately, with Vader, things are never straightforward. So for this video, we are going to be talking about Ahsoka's ability to bring Vader back to the light, why many think she should have been able to, but why it was ultimately proven impossible, according to Dave Filoni, for this to ever happen. Of all the Jedi Order, Ahsoka might have been the only person that Anakin could really trust besides Obi-Wan. The two of them shared a special bond that was much closer than most of Anakin's other friends. In fact, one might say that Anakin had a bit more trust in Ahsoka than he ever did with Obi-Wan, since Ahsoka was usually one to see things his way rather than his master, who would usually side with the Jedi Council. But building off this, the most important thing to note was that unlike most of everyone else, there was nothing Ahsoka did to inherently slight Anakin in his turn to the dark side. Once Anakin became Darth Vader, he had a bone to pick with all members of the Jedi Order, and especially the Council. And of course, after Mustafar, Obi-Wan Kenobi became the embodiment of his hatred towards the Jedi. Obi-Wan represented everything Anakin hated about the Jedi, and what they did to hinder him in his real desires. However, Ahsoka was never a part of this, and had no target on her back by Vader. In fact, Vader didn't even bother looking for her despite the fact that he knew she was alive. When he found the crashed Venator and all the clone troopers' helmets on sticks as a memorial, as well as her lightsabers in the snow, Vader could feel her presence in the galaxy. However, he paid her no mind for a long period of time. On the contrary, Vader let her come to him, because of the Emperor's prediction of their fated meeting. Vader never bothered to actively seek her out, as he knew fate would do the rest. But then the moment came on Malachor where Ahsoka had a chance to break through to Anakin, and she was granted a moment where Anakin reflected, if ever so briefly. But yet, he slinked back into his shell, and her attempt was completely unsuccessful, even though for just a moment, she did see Anakin. Out of everyone in Anakin's past, it was perhaps Ahsoka who had the best shot out of them all. With Padme dead, and Obi-Wan as the target of Vader's rage, Ahsoka was likely the only one left who could actually show Vader she still loved and cared for him in a way that would make any sort of impact. And for a moment, it did. However, this moment was fleeting. By this point, Vader was too far gone, and this directly answers why it was impossible. At this point in time, Vader had done so many horrific things that even if he wanted to come back from it, it's likely that he wouldn't let himself. Anakin would not be able to bear the acts that he committed, and it was his own self-hatred that truly kept him a prisoner for so long. Something that we need to remember about Lord Vader, and something that gives him great power in the dark side, is his own self-hatred. He loathes himself in truth. He believes that he had killed his wife, an unborn child. Vader was convinced that there was truly nothing left for him outside of the Emperor and the dark side itself. His only chance at happiness and peace was torn from him by his own hand, and he had no one to blame but Anakin Skywalker. Vader was the dragon that emerged from the soul of Anakin, and it was the dragon that would protect him from Anakin's sins. In the end, there was no one to blame except himself. Although he tried as much as he did to push the blame onto the Jedi and Kenobi, the individual that Darth Vader hates more than anybody is Anakin Skywalker. It never mattered how much familial love or care Ahsoka doused him with. There was nothing to pull Anakin out of the mire of loneliness and despair that was now Darth Vader. Dave Filoni said this in interviews. The fact that Ahsoka Tano reached out to Anakin Skywalker meant nothing. Vader's hatred for Anakin was enough to pull him back in. When they duel on Malachor, the year is 3 BBY, and at that point in time, Vader had been a Sith Lord for 16 years. He had killed hundreds and dozens of Jedi. He had firmly established the Empire's rule, and he had been on many missions that brought him ever deeper to the dark side. A simple conversation with his former Padawan on a Sith-owned world was not going to change Vader. Perhaps he would reflect on her words, but in that moment, he was so consumed with darkness that he could only think of himself, just as Anakin did. One thing that is extremely important to know about the character of Vader, or I should say characters of Vader and Anakin, is that they are two different personas and identities. By this point in time, Vader was so far removed from Anakin that nothing from Anakin's past was going to sway him one way or the other. When Vader laid eyes on Anakin's Padawan, he felt nothing for her. There was no familiarity. There was no affection, no sense of fondness in the slightest. She was simply another Jedi to eradicate. But on a deeper note, there was even a part of Vader that was angry that she knew his identity as Anakin. And the third, and the final reason why Ahsoka Tano could never save Anakin Skywalker from his fall, due to his fate, or redeem Vader, was because of the importance of Luke Skywalker's impact on his father. Only Luke could have brought Vader back from the darkness, and that is a Lucas-approved fact. There is so much more to talk about on this, but perhaps it could all be summarized in a quote from Dave Filoni himself, who gave a real answer to this very question. Dave Filoni said, "I personally have never felt anything changes Vader until Luke. The Vader we encounter in Rebels is one devoid of emotion except for hate, anger, and suffering. He was so trapped inside himself because of the terrible things that happened, that Anakin never thinks of himself as having betrayed his friends, but rather his friends betraying him and the Republic. He has to live on that side of the fence because the truth is just too damning. So he wants to destroy Ahsoka because she represents his past. She represents knowledge of who he was, and he wants to wipe that out. His son, though, represents a potential future, because his son wouldn't know who he was, so he can build a new galaxy together with his son. His apprentice is his past, and he needs to destroy her." As Filoni put it, the thing that kept Vader in bondage was a victim mentality, one which stated that he was betrayed by everyone in his past because he wanted a better future for all. A lie. In Vader's mind, they couldn't handle this way of bettering the galaxy through him gaining more power. To Anakin, the Jedi and everyone with them were just too afraid of power that they betrayed him because of their own fear. But as mentioned, this may not have been what Anakin truly believed. But actually, it was just a rationalization for Vader, because Anakin could not handle facing the truth of the matter. Deep down, he knew the truth, but if he embraced it, it would be nothing to turn to, and he might even forfeit his life for it. I think the conclusion to be drawn from this is a harsh and unfortunate truth that no one from Vader's past could have ever saved him. Not Obi-Wan, not Ahsoka, and perhaps maybe not even Padme. Palpatine once speculated of what would happen if Padme had survived. She would have been miserable, and nothing she said or did could change how Anakin was now. Vader had too many selfish feelings over Padme, and he would only try to please her by gaining even more power via overthrowing the Emperor. But not even that could make her happy. Even if Vader had been successful in any of his attempts to resurrect Padme, sure, he might have been a bit happier, but Palpatine predicted that even with this, that Anakin Skywalker always wanted power, and that Vader needed it. Not even Padme could cause him to turn. The shadows of the past were dead, and so was everything pertaining to Anakin. But only the bright hopes of the future could destroy Vader and bring Anakin back to the light. This comes in the form of a new hope. That new hope is Luke Skywalker. Luke's existence punched out everything Vader believed of himself and broke off the chains of self-hatred, breaking them once he realized that he hadn't killed his unborn family. Luke believed in him in a way that no one else did, not even Obi-Wan and not even Ahsoka. Obi-Wan and Ahsoka both said that Anakin was dead, but Luke kept the conflict stirring in his father because Luke wasn't someone Vader wanted to destroy. The absolute brilliance of Star Wars is Vader's desire to turn Luke to the dark side and rule the galaxy was a desire born out of the heart of Anakin Skywalker, not Vader. He wanted his family back, and he wanted to atone for what he did. It was only this soft spot of a hopeful future that gave Vader something else to live for besides power and service to the Emperor. Gave Anakin something to live for. Only the love that Luke could give him would grant Anakin peace, and that's a kind of love that Ahsoka just could never grant. But anyway, my friends, this is why Ahsoka never had a chance of turning Vader back for the light, or saving him from the dark side to begin with. We would love to hear your thoughts and insights on this topic, and as always, your viewership means the world, and thank you for visiting the channel, and as always, may the Force be with you.